Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item is pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item is to approve the May meeting minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the month of May.
Okay, can I have a second?
I think.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay. Next item is financial report.
So right here on the first line item, it has these splits: maintenance, park maintenance, street maintenance, but then it's negative. Are you zeroing that out and then the total's 2,300? Is that what I'm looking at?
On which page? I'm
Very
sorry.
first page, top.
Yeah, the 2,300, and then the way it does it, it subtracts each one of those
Okay.
from that.
And is town maintenance, this is the monthly maintenance? Or is this
Yes.
something new?
No, it's 2,300, and then we divide it into the 3 different departments.
And this is the
Maintenance
23 that we agreed upon?
Yes.
Okay, alright. Alright, so then as we move down, I'm starting to see these charges for the damage. First one is this Gardner Ace for $18.79.
That's the weed eaters, chainsaws.
That's replacing that
Yeah.
equipment.
Yes.
Okay, so then, where did I see it? Alright, so next one is Lance Trucking.
Yes, that's gravel for the park area.
Yep. Then the next one is Jerry's Handyman,
That is-
$3,500.
That's for building, replacing the picnic tables that got floated away and damaged.
Wow, how many was that?
So
Okay. And then,
so that's materials and labor.
got it. And then Randy Banks, $600, 3-day compensation. Is that what that is?
Yes.
For what?
Days he took off to help do the work in the park.
Okay. But what? Okay, and so any of that's gonna be reimbursed?
Yes.
Okay.
It will be
All of it?
reimbursed
All of it.
100%.
Okay, so then you go on the back side of this page, it's got Age Pro or
Apex Fence
yeah.
Company, that's
That's
the 50% to replace the fencing at the park and
Okay.
over here at the train car.
What's the first one for 10,000?
That is for the gator to replace the golf cart.
Okay. Apex Fence Company, it was split into 2? Go with that.
Yes.
Because it was two different bids.
Not only was it 2 different bids, but in talking with our FEMA representative, he is classifying the park as one project, and then this over here, the train cars, will be a second project.
Okay.
I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him, and he told me how he wanted it divided up.
And then Adam Chumley, something to do
That
with
is moving, well, actually building a deck in front of the bathrooms. So that will be reimbursed from the FEMA also.
Okay, so that's the deck instead of moving the bathroom itself?
Well,
Well,
it's
it ties in,
associated with the move in the bathroom.
Okay. So all those 1830, 3132, those are gonna be reimbursed.
Yeah.
Adam Chumley,
Yes.
Yeah,
Weed Eater.
yeah.
we will get 75% from FEMA and 25% from the state.
When will we see that?
It will be done in stages. I spoke with the gentleman on Tuesday through a Zoom meeting, and he told me the equipment and stuff. He told me what I could put in the first submission to him, and because I explained to him that we are on a very low budget, how much it's costing to replace it, he's gonna try to move it through as quickly as he can to get us some money back into our account so we can finish up.
Okay, I just make a recommendation that the next town council is to have those costs that we charged, and then show the difference once we start seeing the refunds back for that. So all these expenditures that were paid out, to ensure that the town gets back all that money. So you're negative from that, from your financial overhead, and then how does it get reimbursed, and when does it get reimbursed? So we can see how it balances out.
Okay.
Right, but I may not have a check by the next council meeting.
I know, so
But-
it's zero. So then in the next month,
Right.
this is
If
what
you
was added
will-
to it.
On our budget spreadsheet, on the very last page, I have tried to keep a running total of what we have spent on the flood.
Is that 28,000?
Yes.
Was actually 26 now.
Yeah, it's 2630, cause no, there was 1869.50 and then the 2630, okay? I have it set up in the accounting system where I can print you out a copy of just the flood account, so that you know how much has been spent. But there was also expenses, now there was some expenses that were last month that are included in that total. But also, if you will look at on the register printout, if you'll also look down under credit card services on March the 27th, a lot of our stuff was paid for with a credit card, like at Home Depot. So I separated that out in the credit card payment, so you would know how much of the credit card payment actually went towards flood expenses.
Okay. All right, so all those expenditures that I just talked about, they're roughly, I haven't added up, but it's close to the 26.3. So those are what's been identified, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, do we get reimbursed just for what we spend, or do we get that amount that they had agreed to pay as a whole?
We get
You have to-
reimbursed for what we spend.
So, all right, so you spend it, and then
Yeah.
up to that amount,
Right.
gotcha.
And once it gets to a certain point, like 0 to 25%, I believe it is, you get like 25% back. And then if it's 50% done, you get 50%. So they base it on how much work you've got done. So I'm trying to show as much as possible that we've got done so we can get
Sure.
that money back. Now, at the end, I am keeping up with timesheets. And on those timesheets, I'm keeping up not only with the hours that they work, but I have to keep up with every piece of equipment that they use, whether it be a shovel, a rake, pitchfork, whatever. Because I have a list, and each one of those tools counts for so much money. At the end of this thing, when I turn in all of those timesheets, and they are where it's been volunteer labor, they will reimburse us for that. And we are able to use that money as we see fit. So that's why it's very important that any work is done that I have to have very
So that
clear.
way we could actually get some extra money.
Exactly. And the going rate per hour is $15.13. That's what FEMA says. So
For what?
FEMA says that the hourly rate for volunteer work that I
Okay.
count on the sheets is $15.13.
But anybody using any kind of equipment, like Mark's been using his tractor, and then
Yeah.
David Child's coming out and working with his machinery, we also get a,
So if we don't go through the whole amount, we will be able to pull the money out that way.
Yeah.
So roughly, expenditures 26K, our balance as of this month is 81K, so roughly we'll be back up at 107.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is this?
They have assured me that every penny we spend, we
Okay.
will get back.
Yeah, I just, if you look at this documentation, it doesn't show where we're getting that back for the managing of these finances. That's why I was just curious, but now I see it on that last page.
Well, like I say, it's, you know, QuickBooks is not set up to, you know, that way to do this, so I mean, it's just.
Well, like you said, like Cheryl said, you can list these items,
Mhm.
and then once you start getting refunded, then you
Yeah.
can subtract from that
Right.
and say, hey, this is when we received it, because now it's revenue back into the town.
Yeah.
What is this thing for Scott Gilman? It's line 1819, first page, it says void, flood, there's no payment.
Oh, that was, Randy had found what he thought was a, usable gator at a reasonable price, but when he got over there and looked at it, he said, So I had to send the check with him, because it was all over in Dalton, but he brought the check back because he wasn't satisfied with the machine. So I would.
Swift Exchange, $100.
That's the building permit on the Airbnb that we have in town. They added to their deck, so they had to pay a building fee, building permit.
Oh, okay.
It should say there. Yeah, it printed out the license part, but it didn't have enough room to print out the permit.
If everybody's good, I make a motion that we approve the financial expenditures for the month of May.
Second,
That's it.
motion and second. Any discussion? Any further? If not, all in favor? Okay, the next item is approval of revised agenda. So,
Yeah,
remind me of what we,
right, there, by Robert's rule, the agenda that we print and send out is considered to be a draft. So therefore, if after it goes out, if anything's added, we need to approve the revised agenda. And this time, there was a lot that got added because things changed as between last week and this week, and
Pretty cut dry, right? I make a I make a motion that we approve the revised agenda for the month of June.
second, motion and second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? All right, moving down to, old business, blight ordinance.
we just need to do,
I sent you the updated numbered one. The first
Right.
one was numbered to add a new chapter. This just replaces the chapter that existed. I don't think it's in the packet, but I have a couple copies if anyone wants to look at it.
and it's basically the same thing that I sent to y'all, several months back for y'all to look over and
It would
approve.
be the same. The only thing that's changed is the numbering, because we had it numbered as if it were a new chapter, but you had an existing chapter that this is going to replace. It includes what your previous nuisance ordinance included, which is mechanisms for dealing with unfit buildings and condemned buildings, but it also adds in nuisance provisions that would give the city the ability to deal with other nuisances, like water flow problems, overgrown vegetation, general debris and used vehicles and things like that on lots. So a little bit broader authority over nuisances other than just unfit buildings. So I do have a copy of that if anyone needs to see it.
So it's just a revision to the ordinance, the current one?
It's amending, it's deleting and replacing the section that was there because some of the law referenced was older and has changed a bit. But it does include everything that the previous one did. It just has expanded nuisance power. So it's an amendment to the section rather than adding a new chapter or anything like that.
So there just need to be a motion to,
It would be a motion to approve the ordinance to amend,
Or the amendment?
yeah, it'd be a motion to approve the amendment to the abatement of nuisances ordinance.
Abatement to the nuisance ordinance. Okay, I make a motion that we accept the amendment. Amendment to the current ordinance, or the current abatement to the current ordinance?
So it'd be a motion to approve the amendment to the current code section for abatement of nuisances.
Okay, motion to approve. Say that again?
And you can just say so moved after I say this.
So, oh, well, why didn't you
What's
say,
To
what?
approve,
Why do you say that
Turn that
again?
camera off.
to approve the amendment to the code section for abatement of nuisances.
And what do I say to you?
So moved.
So moved.
Do I have a
That was
second?
easy.
Do I have a second? Okay, I have motion second. Do we have any discussion?
And so it'll be sent out to the town for the next month? The changes for the amendment?
It'll be put on the website.
The website, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And I've got a copy here that we'll get the mayor to sign tonight, just so it's all
Yeah.
signed and
Okay.
official.
Awesome.
And then we'll give it to Mary and let her put it on the website.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? All right, next item is update the flood ordinance.
And if y'all don't approve this, Melissa may get all of you. Over the years, we have adopted and updated a flood ordinance. I have found record of at least 4 times, but the federal government and the DNR and flood prevention or the flood insurance program all claim that we have not. And because of that, Melissa and her family were not able to get flood insurance on their home, even though they tried repeatedly. So when I finally got through to the guys, they're like, well, send me your ordinance, and I showed that we'd had the ordinance since 1996. They would not accept that. And so they sent me a updated version, and we have to accept that because it's what they require for anyone in our town to participate in the flood insurance program, the National Flood Insurance Program. And it's just, a few of the words changed, but most of it is just because the last one we did was what they sent us to approve anyway, so.
Who provided that ordinance?
It's the Department of Natural Resources because they work with the National Flood Insurance Program.
So for the state of Georgia?
Yes.
Okay. So we're making a motion to update the latest version from them.
From the National Flood Insurance Program. I guess it's not what is recommended by the.
Yeah, you'd be updating the flood ordinance to meet the DNR recommendations.
Okay. So I make a motion that we approve or accept the updated version to the Department of Natural Resources Natural Flood Program.
I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, the next item is discussion of the noise ordinance.
And it has a pink tab on it in your packet.
And this is the ordinance from when?
This is our current ordinance that we have.
It was
in
adopted
place.
in 2017. It's on the last page. Shows the effective date.
July 6, 2017. And basically, what it comes down to is that, you know, trying to understand it and everything. It's, like I say, as reading the Bible or anything else, you get different interpretations and everything. But our attorney pretty much states that any noise that any noise more than 100 feet that disturbs any piece of residence, business, commercial, anything like that is a nuisance. So if you can hear the music or anything, any loud talking, any music, anything that disturbs the peace within 100 feet, beyond 100 feet is considered violating the noise ordinance.
And is it any time?
Anytime during the day or night.
That was the part that I called and got Laura to clarify.
So there are specific time limitations in certain parts of the ordinance, but that first section of the ordinance, that section 1, prohibits any loud noises that unreasonably disturb the peace at any time. So, you know, there's specifically called out time periods, I believe,
10.
for yelling and shouting in public streets between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. is automatically presumed to be unreasonably disturbing sound. But it's not limited to just those hours. If it's happening at another time of day and the context makes it an unreasonable disturbance, then it could still be enforced.
Well,
So it doesn't
obviously,
limit to those hours. Those are just some specific examples of things that are automatically presumed to be a noise disturbance.
okay. Well, obviously that stems from our current businesses that are being conducted here in town.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that we did when we granted the approval for these businesses? Was there any understanding? If we have a restaurant and a brewery and some other things like that, how is it that they can define that ordinance?
Here's some cities have decibel ratings and specific things like that in their ordinance. It's a more measurable thing. This ordinance, you know, it's perfectly enforceable that it says unreasonably loud, but obviously there's going to be interpretation to what is and what is not reasonable. So a restaurant, you reasonably expect some level of noise from.
Absolutely.
And only things exceeding that would be considered unreasonable. So it's an unreasonable standard.
If we've had an agreement with some of those businesses and how those businesses conduct themselves, i.e. if they have live entertainment, were there any discussions previous to that to set expectations?
Well, no, because, you know, basically, you know, they did say that they was gonna have, live music on Saturday nights.
And when's the
You
time?
know.
Obviously that stops at 10?
Well, I mean, I
Stops
think
at
they
8.
close at 10.
Stops
Well,
at 8?
No, it
stops at
stops
8.
at, the music stops at 8.
Yeah, but the ordinance kicks in at 10 o'clock.
Right, but you also have to understand,
It's
Basically,
actually
this
for
stems-
any time, not just 10 to
Okay.
It's
7.
enforced anytime, but there is a specific prohibition to amplified musical instruments, tape players,
okay.
between 10 and 7.
Okay,
So
I
there's
mean-
specific prohibition for those times. Anytime outside of those times, is it unreasonably disturbing the peace?
Okay, so I'm gonna clarify this to all y'all. You know, like I say, you know, when you're disturbing residents inside their homes, where they cannot watch TV, that's unreasonably loud. You know, and these residents, even though they agreed to y'all coming, the businesses and stuff, but I'll be honest with you, the bottom line is, the residents here, the only thing that they want is garbage service and street lights, and they want peace of mind, peace and quiet. So anytime you're disturbing them, you know, that's a problem. So let me finish. So we've had 2 complaints, at least 2 complaints. One, you know, I think the person came down and talked to you, Tony. The other person came and talked to me. The second time was 10:30 at night, that loud talking and stuff was going on, woke them up from asleep. So that's what we're talking about. You know, we have to be good neighbors, you know. So, like I say, we have to be good neighbors, and we have to sort of, you know, like I say, we're in a situation that Main Street is right in line or within a distance of residential, and we have to be good neighbors, and in mind of that, we have to keep the noise down, especially, you know, through the weeks, you know, say Thursday night, and that's, you know, that's the bottom line. So, you know, it doesn't matter what we agreed on. If you're disturbing the people around us, it's unacceptable. I'm sorry, it's unacceptable. And we're gonna have to do something about it. And that's the bottom line. Because they was here first. So like I said, whatever I agreed on, doesn't matter. Okay? Because the town people is first. I'm sorry. They're first. I mean, we can close down all the businesses and stuff and they wouldn't care one way or the other. But like I said again, there's times that the music has been too loud and that's unacceptable. So we need to adhere to this, and be good neighbors, keep the music down and the noises down, especially after 9 o'clock. I mean, that's not, you know, and, you know, any time during when they're sleeping, especially on Thursday night, they might go to bed. We've got people that work third shift, night shift, I mean, different times. So, whatever I said doesn't matter. This thing right here, you know, is interpretation, and this is what goes. I apologize if I said something or I promised something that we cannot do. And I've done it a couple of times, and it's because of the law. So if you want to vote me out, you want to, whatever you want to do. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, as here, I've been a long time resident here, and some other people have also. And like I say, we're not going to disturb them when they're trying to sleep and watch TV. I'm sorry. That's it. You know. And I'm gonna go ahead and go on and say this. Well, I was gonna say it a little bit later. You know, we do not have the money to do all the things that people want, the stores and stuff that want. And the only way that we've done what we've done is my hard work, Thomas Quinton's here, hard work, the fire department's hard work over the years. Nobody's give us anything. So projects don't get done in a timely manner that you might not think. But I've saved this town a lot of money by doing it myself or getting volunteers or certain people to do it. So when I say that I have more on my plate and that I cannot handle any more projects for 2021, I mean it, you know. And like I said, these people don't care about car shows, they don't care about no brewery runs, don't care about any of that. So when we start disturbing them, then we're not doing our job here.
Yeah,
Now whether or not I've said things or whatever, but they're disturbing the peace, they're disturbing their quality of life. And I put that on them, they didn't ask for this. So if I'm gonna have to back up on some things, I'm sorry. But the residents here comes first, I'm sorry. I apologize for that, but I'm telling you right now that we are going to make sure the citizens of this community has a peaceful place to live and not disturbed. So we have to be mindful of events, times of operation, and doing things. So, you know, like I said, we can't afford to pay people to come out here, just like the bathrooms. I'm gonna give you that example. The guy, turnkey quote on the bathrooms over there was $30,000. We done it for 10. The plumber wanted $5,000, the electrician wanted $5,000. So I mean, we've done it a lot cheaper than that. But you can shake your head, you can do whatever you want to. But I'm telling you right now that the citizens here comes first. Citizens here come first in this town. So I'm just going ahead and tell you. So from now on, I'm not going to say anything that's going to come to this council. And before we do anything, I might say it's a good idea. But I go talk to people, and we're going to do more talking to people before we start doing events and stuff like that. We're going to make sure that it is in a time or they want it. Because this is a majority and democracy. And we're going to do what the people around here wants done. And we're going to try to not disturb them, you know, least amount of time we can. So everybody agree with that?
Also, and we don't have any money to do any more events either.
So there's the legal issues, and we're going to get into that on our insurance and so forth. We're going to get into that, but I'm not going to. Does anybody want to? Thomas, do you want to say anything? Or
Yeah, I'm just here to ask the council. I mean, I have no problem. I voted for everything that's here. I have no problem with it, but the noise. And it's mainly on Thursday nights. I mean, I can hear it in my house over the TV with the doors and windows shut. I mean, my son just recently had to move because he couldn't sleep at night, because he has to get up at 3 in the morning, goes to bed early. And I invite anybody on this council up to my house when it's loud. You can come sit on my couch. I invite any of you to come and see. But it's just, you know, it's just too loud. It's too loud.
Has it been better the last few weeks?
It has been
'Cause we
better the
turned it
last
down.
few weeks, but I mean, Saturday night it got a little loud, louder than it had been the last couple of weeks. But the previous weeks on Thursday night, I'm telling you, it's just too much. And I'm, like I say, I'm not against anybody's business here. I voted for the brewery, the alcohol ordinance. I'm not against anybody's business. But I have a 76-year-old mother that lives with me. I mean, and she's in her later years, and she just wants to live out peaceful. I had my son that lived with me that got up early. I mean, and I work late hours sometimes and have to get up early. It's just, I'm just asking the council to enforce the noise ordinance. That's all I'm asking. I'm quite familiar with the noise ordinance that's already in place. And I'm just asking the council to have it enforced.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to understand. So if I'm looking at this ordinance that is being presented to the town council today, everything past 100 feet or anything below that would be an issue. After 100 feet, it's not an issue, correct?
No,
So
I-
if you hear the noise
After
that's being
100.
made more than 100 feet away from the place the noise is originating. So if there's a band playing and you're more than 100 feet away and you can hear it, if that is considered to unreasonably disturb the peace, then that is a violation.
Okay. Well, as you and I talked about, if we don't define that, you defined it from the ordinance for the town, but you're saying, so ultimately you're saying here on the board is that the businesses have to follow this.
Yes,
Is there a time limit, so they have, it's all day long?
yes.
Okay, so I'm just saying as a resident, we don't have this problem, nobody's complaining we're doing Heritage Day all day long, and there's all kinds of noise. So I'm just curious why we pick and
Heritage Day is
choose.
from 10 to 5 o'clock.
My point is, it's an event that causes a level of noise.
It's
So,
an event that was totally approved by the citizens, because when Heritage Days was first started,
yes ma'am,
we had a town meeting and everybody in this town agreed to it
Yes,
because it was only for 2 days.
yes ma'am, we approved for a business to happen here in the town as well. So we're picking and choosing, I feel like, we're not abiding by this. We would be correct me if I'm wrong, it's possible that we would be violating this during Heritage Days.
It's that reasonableness standard. So,
Thomas,
it,
I can solve this. Thomas, has Heritage Days ever been a problem for you?
Cheryl, that's not what I'm trying to state here.
Hold on,
What I'm
hold
trying,
on.
no, what I'm trying to say is that you cannot pick and choose based on how you feel about a business and the loudness of that business and then ignore something else that's happening. And that's what you're doing. No one's complaining about the noise level when there's 200 cars down here on a day in October and all the people that we have here. Nobody is arguing about that noise level at that time.
But it's not disturbing their sleep. His son has to get up at 3 o'clock in the
But
morning.
anyway, if
You're obviously, you are making this, I don't want to say personal, but you're not looking at
right, let
everything.
me-
Hold on, so,
I,
we're gonna move on. Alright, so basically, if this is not followed, then Thomas has all right to call the sheriff's office. And the sheriff's office would come down and handle this under this noise ordinance. Now, also in exemptions section number 4, it says noises emanating from any parade, procession, or event which is conducted by the city. Now, we've had complaints on the music and had to turn that music down also.
mhm.
So, but, you know, like I said, I mean, we can argue this all day long. I mean, unless somebody wants to, change this ordinance, you know, this is what we got on the books. And if it's disturbing Thomas, then it's unacceptable. I'm sorry.
You're absolutely right, it does, and I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with you, but Randy, what I'm saying is that we've got to have a compromise so everybody understands and we're following under the
Correct.
ordinance. That's it, and treat everybody fair.
Well, the thing that needs to be done, and I don't know who's bringing the equipment down here, but whoever's bringing the equipment down here for the speakers or the microphones, whatever level that is, you know, they need to stand across the street or on the back street, and they need to set that level, and that needs to stay there. I mean, somebody else can't go up there and turn it up or turn it down. And that equipment should be used the whole night, you know, that it's there. And nobody should be messing with it. And somebody has to be there with that to make sure that doesn't happen. Because I understand that the business owners are serving and working and so forth. So whoever, I think I seen where it was canceled, whoever's doing it needs to make sure and needs to stand by and make sure that doesn't get that beyond that level.
But we need to have a set decibel level then, because we can't, I mean, that's,
Well,
you know, that's just hard to do. If we have a decibel level, we could probably monitor that somehow. But, you know, we gotta have something to go by, we can't just.
Well, I just told you, if we go by, you know, stand on 2nd Street, which is the street right here,
Mhm.
and you play the music or whoever's playing, and if you can barely hear it there, or not at all.
Barely hear it, what does that mean? I mean, that's it.
So you gotta,
I mean, that's-
Okay,
I
so,
understand what you're saying.
alright, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go spend money. Okay, then it's up to you to go spend money to get a decibel.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I don't, you know, I mean, that's the
I
only
just
way.
feel like
But
that's
Tony,
all-
but
I just
Tony
feel
as a
like if we
business,
set
that's Randy, that's
something-
what I'm saying, you guys take it personal. You gotta set guidelines. You've gotta establish those guidelines and you have to set those. Then you have to bring them across the town so they can vote on it. Because if you do it and agree, hey, it's gotta be this decibel, and then a neighbor's like, oh no, it's still loud, well, who knows what the parameters are?
Well, see,
What
but
is
here's,
wrong with the 100-foot rule? I don't understand.
but the
Because it's
thing-
very subjective.
But Tony,
We
wait,
have-
I just have one question,
Okay,
okay?
alright,
One calm question. Why does if you've got the people and they're all sitting over there, why does the music have to be so loud that it's being heard at Thomas's house? We're not saying you
I
can't
got a
have
question, your
music.
question, do you think every one of those people over there are unreasonable? Because it says, Only if you're
We're talking
unreasonable
about
does it not
the
matter.
music.
You're
All
saying
right.
all those people are
All right,
unreasonable.
let me ask you something. If we take our radios and we go up and we sit out in your front yard and we turn everything up so loud that you can't hear your TV
Cheryl, I
inside
am not
your
arguing
home.
whether it needs to be done.
Well,
I am
that's all we're
saying that we
saying.
need to find an actual very solution, not a solution, not a solution that just says, well, if I stand across the road, maybe it's loud that day or whatever. If we have a decibel, that is something that we can control.
Okay, so who's gonna
We
stand
can
out there
figure
and
out
check
how
the
many
decibel
decibels
every
are coming out of there, I'm assuming, that wouldn't be too difficult to do, and we can make sure it's the same every night. I don't know why you wanna argue that. Why
Well,
would you
but
wanna
here-
argue against that?
What you're missing, Tony, is, as Thomas has said, because he's called me, I can show you the text, is that especially on open night, mic night, when, on Thursday nights, the first person may be fine. He can barely hear it. Well, you're inside, so you don't hear when the next person comes on and they crank it up and it's shaking his windows. That's what we're saying. We're not, he's not complaining about you having
And all I'm
music.
saying is, we need to have a way of monitoring it and see when it's, do you not want us to have music there at all?
We just said, we don't mind the music.
And what
But
is,
you gotta
and
get
how
a
do we control the music?
You
How are
gotta
we gonna
get
control
a
the light?
constant level on that microphone.
I know,
It's
what
all
level
we're
is that? What
saying.
level? What level? Why would you argue against finding a decimal level and
Take-
setting it? Why would
I'm
you argue
not.
against that?
But I'm
Yes, you're
saying-
sitting there arguing with
All
me
I'm
against that.
saying is, it's very simple. You take,
Now, hush. Alright, so unless we go and spend some money on
I
that,
can't imagine it costs too much to get a, I mean, I have no idea, but I can't imagine
Well,
it costs too much.
this thing has to be calibrated. If heaven forbid that it goes to court, these things, just like a radar, anything like that, when you're dealing with and having to go to court or something, then you have to have you have to have it, make sure it's calibrated and it's correct.
Sure.
Okay, so who's going to do that? That's the
Well,
thing.
who's-
That's the thing. That's the thing it is, you know. But we're missing the point here that we're disturbing a residence, and all we got. I mean, it's simple. All you got to do is whatever the level is, that you can't hear across the street, leave that at that level. I don't understand how it can be that hard, but if it is, that's fine. We can go.
I could
We
literally
can go.
whisper and you could hear it across the street. I could talk this loud and you can hear it across the street.
but that wouldn't be what would be considered unreasonable.
Exactly my
But
point,
when
that it
wakes-
needs to be
when it wakes
defined.
the lady across the street up out of her sleep, that's a problem. When it wakes the man up the
And
road,
if
it's
Thomas
a
just comes
problem.
down there and tells me to turn it down, we'll turn it down.
But
I've
he
never met
shouldn't have
Thomas, never
to.
talked to him before.
Why should he have to?
Okay, well, because if he wants something done, you ask for it. I mean, I can't telepathically know if that night's
Why
disturbing
can't you
him or
make
not.
sure it's not getting that loud in the first place?
And exactly why we need to have a set rule of how loud it can be. I don't understand why that's a problem. That just seems like common sense to me.
I don't know
I mean,
why
we
we're
can't-
not.
we can't have
I don't
somebody
know why
standing
we're
across the
not
street all the
discussing
time.
Working with the businesses to come up with an agreement. The town, responsibility, we neglected to look at that when the proposal of this business was established. We didn't say, well, hey, I wonder if it's gonna be a noise ordinance issue. And now we are, but we've gotta come up with a compromise. That's what I'm arguing, is that, you know, collectively, is this what the town agrees or what? Because unfortunately, here's the deal, I'm a member of this town, I don't hear the noise. So.
I'm way up on the hill and there's nights when it's so loud that I hear it on my front porch. And I'm way past that where Thomas is.
and I've heard it too. But I mean, like I say, on the outside, not on the inside of my house. But here's, I mean, I think we're all missing the point here. Unless, you know, I mean, we can go out there and we can spend the money, taxpayers' money, to get a machine to register that, or we can do, you know, like a simple thing as to set these, and once you get it set, it should be the same every week. Whatever, level 3, level 4, whatever the level on the speakers is, it should be that simple. But if, I'll check into.
Have towns done, have you seen that? Have people
We
had
have.
ordinance that specifies certain decibels?
The most recent other noise ordinance we did has decibel levels that the decibel level limits are higher during the day than they are at nighttime hours.
Okay,
There are mechanisms that the reliability is not necessarily perfect, but there are decibel apps that can be downloaded on phones that give you a base idea. Now, that's not the decibel reader
Sure.
that the sheriff's office is gonna come out with.
but our ordinance doesn't specify that. It just says
It's an
hours
unreasonable
and distance. That's
Yes,
correct.
It's,
So-
is it unreasonable?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. As a town, collectively, we should build those parameters, so then I can say, hey, whatever business, you're violating this. Here's the ordinance, your decibel. I've got a
We still don't
machine,
know
I'm
what to do right
testing it.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, because it says unreasonable by a person of ordinary sensibilities. Well, if you have 50 people over there and they think it's reasonable, and you have one person that thinks it's unreasonable, does that mean, it's unreasonable?
So-
That means if it's ultimately cited or something along those lines, that a judge is going to decide whether he thinks it's reasonable or unreasonable.
Yeah, so on the flip side of that, if Tony is a business, has his own business here, and he comes to the town and says, hey, I would like to request X number of decibel, so that can adhere to his business, he has the legal right to, or he has the right to do that, correct? He has the right to come to the town and say, hey,
So usually what I've seen is different decibel limits for different times of day for different
Yep.
zoning areas. Now,
Yep.
Talking Rock's smaller, so
Yep.
you may have one throughout decibel limit because you're not dealing with a residential district and
Yeah.
things like that. But usually it's across the board,
Yep.
applies to businesses, applies to residents.
absolutely.
During the day, you cannot exceed this. During the night, you cannot exceed this. And of course, you have your exceptions for things like trains coming through and, loud noises that occur.
So you would agree that to help situate this issue here is that we define that and update our ordinance, correct?
It is up to the council.
That's my point though, because as Tony is stating, it's the way I look at it versus the way he looks at it. He goes out there and plays music right now, it's subjective. I could say it's loud, you could say, oh, that's not loud. And so then, how do you, as members of the town, how do I justify this ordinance? Do I have a measuring tape out there? Do I go, oh, here's my little app that says I'm above decibels? It could be up any decibels because it's not identified in this ordinance.
Right, I want some guidelines to
Yes,
follow.
that's,
I don't want it to
Randy,
be,
that's what I'm
you
saying
know,
that needs to be established in
My
here. You're just,
question is-
hold on, please. You're just stating, hey, it's loud and we need to be respectful of the ordinance.
Right.
Well, your loud might be interpreted different from my loud. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's a reasonable request. We did it 8 months ago when someone wanted to come in and do a range here. And
Right,
then they
that
did.
costs $10,000.
My point is, we had asked them, before we approved their business, to prove, or show proof of what the decibel levels would be. And Cheryl, you can't ignore that.
Well,
I might not can, but I consider unreasonable is when it wakes somebody up from
Yes,
a
ma'am,
sound
that's
sleep.
your interpretation, that's not the town's.
So in other words, the lady at the end of the
It's-
street
I'm
does not
talking-
have the right to
It's
sleep
your,
at
it's
night.
your interpretation, okay?
Well,
Right.
you
Well, of
don't,
course
you're
you
not
do.
right here in the
And,
middle of town and
I don't
having to
know
listen to
if,
it either.
if there's just a certain day or time that's affecting you, mainly, I mean, is Thursdays?
Thursdays is the biggest day.
At- How late?
It usually.
No, I mean, how late would you approve of, of the music going on?
Well, it's the loudness, it's not really the time, it's the loudness. I mean, I know now it usually quits about 8:30 to 9, somewhere in there. I think that I talked to Oliver one time. I came over and talked to him about turning it down. And I know he said that, it goes till 8. I have no problem with that, but I'm telling you, there's nights, and say, I have no problem with the music
Right.
whatsoever. I'm trying to be a good neighbor.
Oh, no, and
But,
I'm
you know,
not,
it's just, there's nights, it's just too loud.
But it has been better lately, right? Because we've been telling them to turn it down.
Yeah.
but is it mainly, if we can do something to really curb Thursdays, would that,
Yeah, that's
That-
the worst night.
yeah,
That's the worst night, I'll say
we
that.
can do that.
And that's the nights, you know, my son, like I say, he just had to move, but, you know, that's the nights that disturbed him the most, cause he had to go to bed, you know, about 6 o'clock. And, you know, and it's pretty bad sometimes, you know, but, you know, I see what you're saying, I see your point.
Oh, no, I'm not
Just,
arguing
you
against it,
know-
I mean, I don't want you to be miserable up there either.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just,
I mean, you know,
you know, if you're the only person that I know that's complaining,
Yeah.
which is not a problem, I don't care if 1 people or 100 people, still wanna fix it.
Yeah.
But if we can do that by, really cutting back on what we do on Thursdays, would that,
that's fine with me, but, you know, it's just like, how long's it gonna last? And like I spoke to Oliver that one time, and he turned it down, and an hour later, it was right back, it's loud, you know.
Again, it's always gonna be subjective. Everything you're just saying is subjective. Until you
Yeah, but I think-
establish a guideline, then,
but I feel like I can talk with the people on Thursdays and really get them to quiet it down a little. Our patrons really like the music loud. I don't like it loud. Myself, I don't like it at all. But I go out there and ask them all the time, is this too loud? And they go, no, it's great. I can't talk, I can't hear people when it's that loud. I don't personally like it, they like it.
yeah.
But I don't think it's unreasonable, especially on a weekday, for us to, you know, go half of what we've probably been doing.
Yeah, I just,
You know, just to keep, you know, Thomas asleep.
I just think we need to relook at this ordinance and see if it needs to be adapted. If it needs
Yeah,
to
and it would be nice to have exact guidelines that we can go by and we don't have to
Because if
worry
you
about.
don't, it's
we went out
always
of,
gonna be
you know.
subjective. 6 months from now, you have your music up and we're right back at it. But if you need to, you know, it needs to be identified even deeper. And it's okay if we make changes like that.
And we will do it, it doesn't even have to, we'll do it. I mean, I can get with him and we can get a decimal meter and, you know, go up to his house or whatever and figure it out. I mean, you know, we'll do that. We'll do whatever we got. But
And
I
that's
think
all
it's
we're
got to be,
I said, and that's all we're asking, is to work with him, so that he can reasonably sit in his home and his mother can
no, I
sit there
said we
and.
wanted regular guidelines and you said we don't need those, we need to stand across the street and.
Well, it
Well, I
says
mean,
100
that's
feet,
without having
whatever.
spent.
Without
I
having to
guess,
spend so much money to do it, I mean, just be a good
And I
neighbor.
already said that I would pay for it, and you don't have to spend any money.
Hold on. All right, so first,
$50.
check with the sheriff's office, see if they've got those things, decibel meters first, and see what. Okay, so, I think we've reached a compromise, on that until we can, further research it and see if we can get a, reasonable decibel. Because just from the standpoint of, you know, if it's not either written down or if it's not calibrated, I think you have a problem, you know, taking it to court. Is that not right, Laura? I mean, it really needs to be calibrated or a proven
You know,
system.
someone can contest the validity of your decibel reading, just like they can contest whether it's a reasonable, I mean, either way
Right,
would
I
be
mean, I
able to be
understand that, but-
contested. But
But I
yes,
mean,
just like a speed reader,
Yeah.
when they get you on laser over radar, it's
They have to
similar.
have training or, you know, and all kinds of stuff, so anyway, like I say, till we can get something like that, maybe we can work, on something and, you can give it, Thomas or something until we get something, you know, more, you know. I mean, you might even just do it on your phone for now and,
Well, yeah, 'cause that's, because what we really need is, you know, somebody's gotta be down there at the brewery while they're
Right.
playing to measure the decibels while we're up there
Yeah.
to see how loud it is up there. And then when it gets unreasonable, as long as, like you say, these things work accurately, I don't know, then we'll know that that's the sound we need all the time.
Until we get something better. How's that?
Yeah.
Is that work you were talking about somebody?
No, me,
We'll
I'm
work.
just,
Okay.
I'm not trying to make it complicated. I
No,
just
no,
want it
but
turned down.
we just wanna
Well, we
make.
gotta make it right.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, he even said he didn't mind if he could do it out in the yard, but
Okay, that's enough. All right, we got it settled, so that's good. All right, let's, who on the Wildcat Timber, met with Wildcat Timber, the owner, and, come up with a, solution. They tried to go under the agricultural or, forestry as far as their, erosion control, which is more lenient than somebody building a house or whatever. But once we told him from the EPD, read him the ordinance that says, you know, if he tries to use that, then he cannot, I mean, he can sell the property, but he cannot do anything as far as developing the property, building houses or anything on it for 3 years from the time it was started. So he didn't want that. So we told him that the fine was $32,000 almost, or somewhere around there. And he said, you know, could we work with him? And the EPD recommended to cut it in half, so he's supposed to be cutting us a check for $15,000 for his erosion problem. And then that would lift before he can sell the property and develop it. So we sent a letter to him and sent a letter also to the EPD and so forth. So like I say, that has got settled. So hopefully we'll have that money coming in shortly, and then they will be provided. All right, last item on the old business is Billboard update.
the billboard should be ready to go up at any time.
No, it's already up.
Oh, is it? I hadn't been down that way, so I didn't know.
But just to let y'all know that the town had to be the one responsible, because Melissa at the bank said that I talked to her and that we worked it out. So you'll see checks written from the town for the billboard, and then the store owners are writing a check to us for that. I tried to get out of it because she wouldn't have it. So. Okay, moving on to new business. I think we've already discussed the projects, but you know, the picnic tables are built. Concrete guy is supposed to be scheduling as soon as he can come over and do the walkways in concrete. The wooden walkways have been removed. And so, like I say, with his scheduling between the rain and being able to get concrete, there was a week that he couldn't get concrete. So as soon as that happens, he'll do the first section, and then he'll come back and do the second section. So all that will be concrete. And then the fence people are coming in July to put up the fence along the railroad tracks on the brewery side or the parking side, and then on the playground area there in July. I've been, you know, like I say, the bathrooms are open, so I've been trying to choose, you know, how we spend the money till we get reimbursed on the most important things that we had to have, you know, like weed eaters and stuff to do the maintenance. The walkway is important. To get it back where it's not a trip hazard or anything. The fence is up to prevent people from getting onto the tracks. But like, you know, some things that we got to do as petitions in the bathrooms, you know, to get those out and do plastic ones, and other things can, you know, as we progress. So like I say, that's that. As far as the sidewalk projects, The DOT, the, Lemay, is it Lemay? Project, we cannot use that for anything that touches the state right away. So I'm coming up with a plan to, how to use that, and I'll have it at the next council meeting as far as, the money used. We have to put up 30% of that, project. So anyway, that's that. The bathrooms are open finally. The deck is far enough along to not cause a problem of people wandering off and getting hurt. So I think everything's plumbed in, ready to go. The only other thing we need to do before the winter time is underpin it with something to keep the pot and stuff from freezing. But other than that, I think that's that. ELF is events inside the town limits. Did you make a copy of the insurance? What, the insurance?
No, I didn't make a copy of it, I have it right here, you can read it, but I was
Okay,
trying to
okay.
conserve.
Well, if you want
Well,
to
here,
read.
I can read to you what it says.
Okay.
The first one that I got, I had asked about events, happening on town property. And this one pertains to the train cars, in that, he said, this email is to inform you that events held by lessees on town property that is not included in their lease are not covered on the town's insurance policy. The lessee should be required to furnish you a certificate of insurance evidencing that the event is covered under the lessee's insurance policy and naming the town of Talking Rock as an additional insured, or they may purchase a special events policy for said event and also name the town of Talking Rock as an additional insured and furnishing you with a copy of that policy. If anyone, and this came directly, that came from our broker that lives just over the way a bit. This one came directly from our account manager. And I had asked her, well, it didn't print out my question, but I had asked her about what our policy would cover as far as special events. Because I know we had to have a special paragraph on Heritage Days. That it, you know, and then when we had one in the spring, we had to have it added to our policy. She said if anyone wants to have a special event, you should require them to furnish their certificate of insurance to cover the special event and name the town of Talking Rock as an additional insured. If Talking Rock is sponsoring the special event, we need to endorse your policy for each one. Depending on what that special event is, it may cause our premium to go up or down per event.
So can I say that the run is not, we're not the ones sponsoring, it's done by Polish Run?
No, but it's on town property.
I know, but you said if the brewery is doing it, then it's not on our property, but we're not sponsoring it.
That wasn't what I was talking about. What I'm talking about is like the area over there where you put the cornholes, the area under the concrete pad, those things are not covered under your liability policy because they are not included in the lease.
Actually, underneath the patio should be.
But it's not. It's for the train car only and the deck. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly, I don't understand exactly what we're saying.
Well,
Anytime anybody does something at the park, they gotta have insurance?
No, and what it's saying is, when you're advertising an event, that you have to have a insurance policy that covers that event, and it has to name Talking Rock under that as a, not really an umbrella, they call it, it's a name for it.
As an additional insured.
Now, as far as and this is where it's getting touchy because we cannot sublease the property itself, the land over there. The stuff that we own as far as the rail cars, the deck and stuff, we can sublease, you know, I mean, we can lease that out because we own it. But the property, you know, it states in our thing that we cannot sublease that property, so it's gonna be difficult to include that. But as far as people coming here, and like I say, this is, I know the city of Jasper, when the merchants have a like the 4th of July parade and so forth like that, anything that the Shriners, like the Shriners, if the Shriners want to come down, I remember this for, in particular, is the Shriners had to have an insurance policy for the Shriners to come and bring the cars in, you know, in the parade. And the Jasper had to be on that policy as a,
Additional insurance.
yeah, but there's a name for that. But anyway, to list the city of Jasper as part of that, because if somebody got hurt, then it would go after that policy first before it went after the city's policy.
Well, and I understand that.
So,
I just don't
so
understand.
any event that, when you're, and like I say again, that's Laura.
Can I explain it the way Laura explained it to
Okay.
me today?
Well, let Laura explain.
Well, no, the other Laura, the one at the insurance company.
Okay.
What she said was like your patrons sitting over there, you know, picnic tables and stuff. She didn't feel like that would necessarily be a problem. What she's talking about is like advertising the cornhole tournament, okay? That is an advertised event. So therefore, either you've got to get a policy, you've got to have a policy for that, we're talking about listed as an additional insured, because our policy will not cover that. Because it's an event that we're not hosting. And if it was, then we would have to go to them and say, okay, we're gonna do this, how much are you gonna add to my policy to cover this event? You see where I'm saying? Just like you do the cornhole on the weekends, that's not an event. That's just an activity that you've got out there.
Only if we advertise it.
Right.
That was my question.
So when you advertise we're having cornhole tournament on 1st and 3rd Sunday, that's an issue.
Now, does it matter where you're advertising?
Yes. If it is an advertised event and people are signing up for it, it is considered an advertised event. It's considered an event that
Advertised
you're,
or people are signing up for it?
it's an event that you are scheduling that the town does not have anything to do with.
So if it's a scheduled event, you can't do it?
Yeah.
Only if it's scheduled?
That's,
If it's not
Here
scheduled,
again.
we can do it?
if anyone wants to have a special event, you should require them to furnish a certificate of insurance to cover the special event. So any cornhole tournament would be a special event. It's not something that you do on a daily basis. Therefore, you would have to furnish a certificate of insurance to cover the special event and name the town as an additional insured.
So you don't want us to do cornhole?
No.
I mean,
Tony, honestly, what I did was because I've been here, done this, was I went to her and said, hey, because I said, I need to know what do we have to do for these events to happen, okay? Because I knew that there was a difference in how the liability company would look at it. So it wasn't something, I was just going to see, okay, I want to make sure that we're doing this and we're doing it right, so if anything happens, somebody doesn't come back and say, well, you should have done this. That's all I was doing. I mean, you know, because part of my job, and I asked Laura today, part of my job is to make sure that things go the way the book says they're going so that the town is not put into liability. That's part of what I'm supposed to be doing. So when events are coming up, then it's my responsibility, just like when we had our spring fling that year, it was my responsibility to go to the insurance company and say, hey, we're having an extra event, what do I need to do to make sure that we are covered under the liability policy?
Well then, I mean, like, when you rent out the pavilion and stuff for a special event, do they have to have insurance?
They're not doing advertised special events, it's just birthday parties.
How do you know they're not advertising?
Because they sign a waiver, Tony, I mean, they have to sign a waiver
can
when they
sign a
sign
waiver.
it. Huh?
So we can sign a waiver.
So an advertised event inviting the public in general is generally considered different under policies than a birthday party or familial get-together. So it's more of something that's inviting the public in general to attend or sign up for something.
On town property.
What if we don't advertise it though?
That's probably a question for your insurance.
What are we discussing here? Are we discussing doing events, or we're discussing?
Well, I guess we're
what
discussing
you
the
need to do
cornhole
to
right
do
now,
events.
but,
I think
Well, I mean,
the
I think
concern
we're, I
is,
think we're
What
supposed to
I'm
be
trying
discussing
to
the
do,
room.
James.
I'm just
is-
reading this line right here, and it says
Well-
events inside the town, beer runs and car shows. Are we
Right.
discussing doing those, or are we saying if we do events like this, this is what the procedures we have to follow?
Well, I received a request to give a permit for a beer run in the
Okay.
park.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Number one, the park is not ready for that, even though people are in there. The walkway and stuff is not feasible right now for people to be in
Okay.
there running,
Yep.
okay?
Got it?
Number two, because it's on town property, now I understand that they have liability policy, I understand that.
Okay.
So when I asked the lady, I said, okay, they have their own liability policy. She said, unless it names Talking Rock as an additional insured,
Got it.
you cannot allow it to
So
transpire
if
on
the-
town
All you do
property.
is,
So if
all you
that-
do is
so
call
if
your
that
insurance company
happens-
and tell them put your
Yeah,
talking
so
rock
if
on
he
there,
has
that's not a
that,
big deal.
gets that policy, he's got the liability for town, he can do the beer run? Is that what you're saying?
No, because the park's not ready, that's the whole
Okay,
point.
so, but if he wasn't doing it at the park, we could have other accommodations, right? Or, no, let's hypothetically say the park's ready, he could do the beer run then? He could?
I wouldn't have a problem if
Now,
the
why,
park was
why
ready.
is the park
I don't
not
understand
ready?
why we're asking you, that's
Why
why
is
I'm
the-
curious.
why is the park
So
not
this
ready
is a,
for it?
this is a town
Yeah.
event for the residents of the town.
No.
What is the, yes, it is offering for the town. See, the problem
So
is
the
that we're
difference
taking.
I think the concern is private events, so events not hosted by the town that are going to be on town property, ensuring that if anyone is injured during the event, that the town's not gonna be
I'm
liable.
not
So that's as
debating
easy
that.
as-
And they have the insurance.
You file a permit,
Yeah.
and your permit process requires
Yeah.
that their insurance
Yeah.
either is gonna indemnify or is going to add Talking Rock as an additional insured, or do whatever is necessary for your insurance person to say, we're covered if someone gets injured during this event.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's not what I'm saying. What are we discussing? Are we discussing doing
Well-
events or the policy
well-
how to do events?
Well, both coincides with both, because your liability insurance that they have, you know,
But assuming they have the liability insurance and they call their thing up and they
Yeah.
put Talking Rock as a
Yeah.
added provider, should we vote as to whether they can have that run in the park, or how do we, what do we do?
Well, in my eye,
James,
if
I
the
wanna
ta-
answer your,
but if the park is not ready, the town council has the right to say, hey, the first debate is your event wants to be at the park. The town agrees that the park is not ready, so that sort of supersedes your event because you want to incorporate that in your event. Isn't it, makes sense,
Well, you have
right?
to agree it's not ready, but I mean, these are trail runners. They run through the woods.
Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to be biased across the board. That's why I asked Cheryl if the park was good enough, or if it was ready to go, if it was operational,
I mean,
what is the issue here?
Because they're
Well,
literally gonna
well,
run through around the.
I just feel like as
And there's like 12
yeah.
people signed up right now.
I just feel like as a member of the town council and a citizen of this town, I just feel like, are we picking and choosing what events that we want to
I
do?
think we are. 'Cause
Well-
I called
No.
up Pickens County and I told them, I said, we want to have a run in your parks.
Yeah.
She said, okay. And I said, all right, well, what do I, do I need to get a permit or show you some insurance? She goes, no. I said, well, do you want to know how many people there are? And she goes, no. She goes, we don't have any special, she goes, go out, enjoy yourself.
Well,
That's all she said.
here's another issue that we need to discuss is that's a family park. It doesn't have a track around it like Pickens County Roper Park has. You know, Roper Park has a actual walking, running, biking, park, trail around that. Also, out there at Lee Newton Park, same thing. It's got a biking, walking and stuff, trail there. Here we have a playground just right in the middle of that with grandkids, kids playing. And do we really want a running event or any kind of event going on while the park is open to the public?
Well, that's why you have
It was
those
1
permit,
mile,
that's
it's
why
gonna
you,
be 15 minutes.
that's
It's gonna
why
go
you
from-
designate, just like we do for Heritage Days. Heritage Days, no driving through the main street because it's an event. So if someone is applying for an event, those rules are established. So for that day, whatever, the Saturday, the park will not be open to the public because we're doing this event. We do it for charities, we do it for everything, so. Again, the perception is that we're sort of deciding on what type of events we have and which ones we don't. That's the perception. And I don't think that's right. I think we need to.
Well, I think it is right. Hold on, I think it is right as the county council. Like I said again, I'm afraid that we are getting more and more events down here and we're disturbing the residents of this town. Like I told you again, that this town wants to live in peace. They do not want, this is a unique, I know y'all are from different areas that has all these events and stuff like that, but I'm telling you, as a resident, I don't want all this stuff here.
Unfortunately, Randy, you don't get that choice. It's a
Well,
town decision, and
well-
that's the problem. Is that you're deciding it on your personal
No,
feelings for that. Yes, it is, Randy. It is. You've got to give the town to vote for that.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
What about people that move in here and wanna do things like that? Just because we weren't born and talked
You
about
got.
it, we can't do
You can
it?
clearly see what this is going
Okay,
to.
no,
You can tell,
no, you
Cheryl. You can. You know it.
not
You're.
fair.
Well,
We're
you
putting our
asked
personal.
me
You're
if
putting
I,
our personal
please
feelings
let me
into it.
explain,
Yeah,
okay?
you're not right.
The
It's- okay.
lady, excuse me, but the lady sent me an email asking for a permit. My response to her was, where are you planning on having it? And I told Oliver, that it would have to go before the town council, that it was not my decision to make,
Okay.
okay?
If you believe that,
And
Cheryl, that's fine.
hey, I got the emails, come in here and I'll show
I
you
know,
the emails.
the bottom line,
Hold on.
the bottom line is the perception is everything, and if it's not what you like about it, then it comes in question. And I'm not making that up, Cheryl. That's the perception of people. That's what I'm telling you.
All right,
And
so-
you're not thinking of the town. You're thinking of yourself. I've sat here month after month, and I hear a lot of decisions being made that benefit certain people and not the town. And that's an absolute fact. It is.
Come look at the ordinance book and I'll show you where I'm.
The ordinance should say exactly, you can't have runs in the park for whatever reason, as the mayor just said.
Okay,
You're picking and
Okay.
choosing, that's the bottom
All right.
line. And you know it,
So,
you know it is.
so do they have the insurance policy, do y'all have the insurance policy that names Talking Rock as a insurer?
Cheryl, what did Oliver send you?
he didn't send it to me.
He
He
said
said
he
he
did.
would, but I never received it.
You might want to
The
check your
insurance
email
policy?
again.
Yep.
Naming the town as a,
Yeah, now they may have theirs.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
send
sir,
you
I
that.
am.
Because last month, you said you never received that email, and we clearly have,
Yeah.
I'm
you
just
said it's gonna be on
asking.
the
I
agenda
have
last
it,
month.
I can go in there and you can look on the email all you want to.
hold on. Alright, so do y'all have the copy of the insurance policy naming the town of Talking Rock as a additional
Oliver
insurer?
took care of that and sent it to her.
Well, do y'all have a copy of it?
Well,
It's
I
not
would,
our
because I'm not
event.
taking
It's somebody
care of
else's
that.
event, we're just helping them out.
Yeah, we're not even handling them, so hold on, let me text Oliver.
So who's
But
doing it?
we weren't told at the time that it had to
Well,
have the
and
city
like
of
I say,
Talking Rock's name on it.
Well-
They will have to
I
call their
didn't know
insurance
till
company to
today.
get that sent.
Okay,
And here's the email, if you
Okay.
doubt me.
okay, so,
I really need to over here.
Well, they might have, because the person doesn't send that. The insurance company will send that directly to you
Did not
with
send
your
us
name
the
on it.
Insurance policy, did you?
But when Oliver told me yesterday, because there was a section of the email that I did not have in my file, and I asked him to
Okay,
send
hold
it
on,
to
I'm
me
gonna speak
again,
to
Alright.
him.
and apologize to him. I
okay,
did not
Hold on,
know
hold
at
on.
that time that we had to be
Cheryl.
named on that.
I'm
Okay.
putting Oliver
This
on
is the email.
speaker.
That's
Alright.
fine, then obviously we don't have it if they haven't
Alright.
been told.
alright, let's go ahead and vote.
Hey, Oliver's
go.
talking.
No, let's go ahead.
I've got the insurance,
He's not here, so I mean, he cannot
wasn't
stay.
necessary
Sorry.
this time.
Oh.
Okay, so,
What are
alright,
what are we
Apparently
voting
that's a
on?
big-
alright, so
Okay.
are we, do they have an application? Did y'all turn in an application?
Okay,
We don't
send
even
it
have
to
an
her.
application.
Send it to her right now.
Alright, so
Okay.
if they fill out an application for the run and name the town of Talking Rock as a additional insurer, do I have a motion to allow them to do the run in the park?
Is the park ready?
Let's do it.
Well, that's, I mean, I'm just asking y'all, I'm asking y'all, I'm putting it to y'all.
When is this run scheduled for?
Second or
This
2 weeks from
26th?
now.
June 26th.
Yes, I make a motion that they have the insurance and fill out the application. I make a motion that, you know, we vote that they can run in the park.
Okay, now I have a second. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right. But I think we need to set a policy, on events that they do have to have the, town as an insurer, and that they have to, do an event form, and it has to be voted on by the town council. Well, that passed. I mean, I'm sorry.
Do we have an event form
No, we don't.
application? or-
No, we don't. Like I
We've
say, I
never
mean,
had an issue, so I'll create one, that's not a problem.
so. So anyway, do I have a motion that, you know, like I say, to have an event, they have to bring it forward to the city council, have to name the city as a additional insurer. It has to be voted on by the town council to have an event.
A
You're
motion
saying if
for
we
Yeah,
have,
motion.
if we have a cornhole event twice a month, we gotta go between the town council and.
No, I mean, if that's a scheduled event, I mean, once it's voted on, yes, I mean, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to, I mean, once it's voted on.
Not every single time.
No, no.
One time.
No.
And to be clear, Cheryl, if there's a special event, the town's insurance will not cover it.
Exactly. If it's held by a private individual
Not the
Okay.
town.
and it's held on town property. See, like you're doing it as the brewery, the town's not doing your cornhole tournament,
I got it.
okay? And then just, you have to have a policy and name us as a insured. I mean, that's what the lady says, right?
Well, that's what we're doing.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I just have a question. So every event that we would like to put on or have conducted in the town property, it needs to come up prior to that event and get it voted on in the town?
Yes.
Which-
Yes.
okay, yep, perfect sense, yep.
All right, and name the town as
Oh,
additional
yeah.
insurer.
Yeah, sure.
But we can do a reoccurring, like if we do.
Yeah, you'd have that,
We get the
Yeah.
insurance for the cornhole, we
the
can do a
application that
reoccurring.
Cheryl says she can do, it can state in there that
It's where
you have to show proof of this prior to it going to the board to be voted. It's like a checklist.
But yours would be saying that you hold it the first and fourth
Yeah,
Sunday.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
From,
But
Whatever.
I think your insurance certification would have to state that it's gonna be a recurring event on first and third Sunday of every month.
Well, yeah, I mean, our insurance more than likely will just have it covered anytime. do the whole year.
But it's got to state that in order, because I have to send it to our insurance company.
I know it'd be a liability insurance, special events, doesn't have to be on a particular date, it'll be for the whole year, anything we do. Mhm.
Well, I'll check with our insurance to see if it's acceptable.
But now, the town has to be aware of what
Yeah,
what the events are doing. I mean, as far as the cornhole tournament, that would be a reoccurring because you're having it the first and fourth.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But if you're having, just say an axe throwing, just an example, that,
Yeah,
that
something different, not-
you would have to do that. But
Yeah,
I know, I mean, as far as this occurring one, every other Sunday or whatever you got it going, yes, that would be covered through the whole year.
What I would
Yeah.
suggest is that it may be a good idea if there are no other events other than the one that you voted on coming up prior to the next council meeting, is to take the time between now and the next meeting to come up with an application form that has a spot to say, is the event reoccurring? It has, notes that you have to provide insurance information. And then at the next meeting, the council can vote on approving the application form, which will have all of the details about what sort of liability insurance has to be provided and all of the details that the event holder is going to have to supply. Like, is it a one-time thing? What are the hours? What's the anticipated, volume of people? All of that. Then the council can vote on that, and then you'll have a form going forward that is given out to anyone who wants to come have an event.
and there is a network of city clerks that you can pose a question, do you have a special event form?
You'll probably get 15 forms that,
Right, and then they'll pop back and I'll send them and you can look over them and pick out the one that best suits your town.
So we will not be able to have a tournament until after the next meeting? Even if we get the insurance?
Mm. I would say as long as you, what do you think, Laura? As long as he furnished the insurance,
it's up to y'all. If he has the insurance in place and you're comfortable with it, that's fine. All I'm saying is, given this, it would make sense to have a procedure in place going forward that I think would be a form that if all the council's aware of, this is what the form looks like, this is what we're gonna see when anyone comes in for an event. Doesn't mean you can't approve things in the meantime, if you're satisfied with insurance or whatever.
his event is pretty much confined to that area, so it's not like they're running across the street or like I say, it's in that area, so I don't see a problem with it, but does anybody here see a problem with it?
I could send out the email this evening before I go home to the other city clerks and see what I get back.
Well,
And then,
that's fine, but for this event, like I say, I don't see a problem with this event, with it being confined over there, as long as he produces the insurance and naming the town or whatever. I don't see a problem with that, because like I say, it's not, God forbid that somebody throws a bag and hits somebody, I don't see a problem with that. So if you can produce that, are y'all fine with that? I don't see a problem with that. Great, thanks. Okay, next item is Zach Bennett, it's the blue tab. It shows, Zach Bennett is selling part of his property to his aunt. Does have road frontage, so it's not a issue to get to the property from a state route. Both properties, one is he's keeping the 14 acres and the other 13 acres. 13 acres.
It's either 13 or 15.
What do you say?
We're not good.
that's the property we're talking
Yep.
about. And then this is what he's wanting divided. Can you tell what that is?
Uh,
15 or?
Well, he has 125 acres, so it'd be 115 acres.
It says 15 right there,
Okay.
15 acres. But yeah, on the first page it says 126 acres, but the blue, that looks.
Oh, that might be somebody else's, I'm sorry. So he's selling 15 acres.
Yeah, 15 and then 34.
Yeah. So he's asking for the help.
Does he have his DOT permit for driveways?
We're not, that's not our problem. As long as he has road from. It's up, I mean, I told him that's his
Just
problem.
asking, that's what he said.
The only question I asked him was, would DOT give him driveway, access, because, you know, they're limiting him to that, but, I mean, as long as it's got road frontage, and it's up to him, to check that. All he's asking for is to split that off his property. So if there's not any discussion or anything, then motion to.
Yeah, I make a motion that we allow, what's that gentleman's name? Zach Bennett?
Right,
Mr.
Zach
Bennett? To partial off, we believe 15 acres
Yeah.
of his property.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor? No. All right, so the next item is Petite annexation application, which is the orange tab.
Who seconded that?
I did.
That property is just east of the town, right at the curve, down here. It's 114 acres.
They want to
Annex
annex
in.
out of town.
No, they want to annex in.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. They're the ones that want to do the big bowl and all that. So that's right across from you, you know where that's at.
This one has annexation at the top.
Yeah, he's got two same pages.
I feel like it's
They
deep
can
over
keep it
there.
overnight.
So you understand where that's at?
Right here, yeah.
Oh, y'all see
You
this
know,
on the baseball.
Tony, you know where that property's at. Just north or
Let's
east.
see.
Yeah.
That 136 is about the middle of town.
So anyway, they're wanting to annex in. Of course, we have to have run an ad in the paper, public hearings and all that. That has to run for 4 weeks, but we're just accepting their application for annexation, consideration of annexation, and to proceed with the advertising and stuff that has to take place. So that's all we're voting on. We're not really voting on annexing in, we're just accepting their application.
And their last name's Pete?
Yeah.
Pete.
No, Petite.
Petite, okay. So I make a motion that the town accepts the application for Petite and their annexation.
Okay, so I have a second.
That's it.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, the next item is aggressive dogs. Just beside Hollyhocks, Caleb, Gay has some dogs that he does have a underground fence around the property, but I think, can't say 100% sure, but I do know that they came over at times to the Hollyhocks property, and I was actually over there helping him put up a fence because of that, because he actually had to take a lawnmower, push mower in between him and the dog to keep the dog off of the, from him. So I contacted the owner and talked to him. He is taking steps to address that situation by sending them to obedience school and stuff as the first step. But I just wanted to make you all aware of it. Laura, is sending him a letter stating that, you know, that he needs to correct this. Because we're having more and more people in town, they could walk down that area there, and it's not fair to hollyhocks not be able to use their property without being in fear of the dogs. And I'm telling you, I was there helping, and it's not a wagging, it's a aggressive stance coming. So, you know, he's wanting to do a business there too also, so, I mean, there's gonna be more traffic down that way of people, you know, walking around. So, anyway, just want to make sure we're aware of that we are sending him a letter. He hasn't acknowledged it, just in case something ever happens, that we are aware of and take steps. Next item is set qualifying dates for 2021 election.
We usually do that in August. I suggest August the 17th through the 20th, and you would go to the Pickens County Voter Registration Office to do that. They handle that for us, and you would also pay them your qualifying fee of $1. I'm hoping that they're up and running. You know, there's a big thing about Julie quit, and then there was a new law went into effect in July 1st, and so they've got to hire somebody to take her place to be able to run the office. So they should, I talked with the lady who's answering the phone. She said they're hoping that they have somebody ready to go July 1st. But I said, well, if we just stick to our regular August dates, do you think we'll be okay by then? And she said yes. But I have to run an ad in the paper.
So what was those dates?
August the 17th through the 20th. And it would be the hours of the registration office, and I don't have that right offhand.
So could we not do it the whole week, the 16th through the 20th?
If you want to.
Would that not be more reasonable to do the qualifying for the whole week of that week, 16th through the 20th?
We normally only do 3 days, that's why I did that, so.
I mean, how does other people, I just,
There's nothing wrong with doing the whole week. I mean, that's
I mean,
certainly not an
I-
unreasonable qualifying.
I mean, I don't know, I mean, it just makes more sense to me to have the 16th through the 20th. I don't know how the other towns, cities do it, I'm not 100% sure, but whatever y'all want to do. But the way it stands now is Tuesday through the Friday for qualifying. And to let y'all know, it's Tony, Andrea, and James. That's up for election this year.
And we do have to pay for this election. There's not anything else going on, so it'll come out of that pocket. Which is about $6,000.
Usually somebody that runs it
Yeah.
against.
Do what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to pay for it. Now, you know, like if there's a state election or a national election and we have one during that time period, it just rolls over. All we have to do is pay for the advertising fee. But they made us go to an odd year, and when that happened, it falls on a time when the state nor the U.S. is having an election, so therefore all the cost comes on to us. If it's a contested race, if just you, Andrea, and James sign up to run and nobody runs against you, then all we pay is the advertising fee. But if somebody qualifies to run against either one of you, then we have to pay $6,000 to $7,000 for the election.
So if there's an actual vote, you gotta pay them.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we can't get it changed, do we?
No. Try. Legislature, I beg, legislature will not let us change it back to an even year. Has to be odd years.
So anyway, just need a motion to set the qualifying days in August.
And what you want the dates to be.
Like I say, last year it was 3 days, or actually 4
Three
days.
before.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking at August,
16th to the 20th.
make a motion that we set the Qualifying days to August 16th to the 20th.
Hours,
Hours of the registration office.
Administration.
Okay.
So we don't have to do anything, I don't have to go down and re-register?
Yes.
Oh, I do?
You have to go down,
During that
and you have to go
time.
down
Yeah.
and
Before
what they
that
call
or?
qualifying.
Yeah,
You have to do it during this week.
during this week, okay,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, alright, got it.
And it'll cost you $1.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, do I have a second?
That's second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, now it's time to set, the millage rate for 2021, is it?
No, they set it for, 2021 this year.
So our millage rate has been at 1 mil, which is probably,
It's 3, roll back 1, you have to stay
okay,
with that
well,
one.
anyway, okay, so 3, roll back 2 to 1. So, basically we gotta roll it back because we're getting
Low
off
cost
the
and sales tax.
sales tax, so, but we can set it whatever, but we gotta roll it back too. So right now it's 1 mil and it's probably the lowest.
You can't increase it unless we go through all that paperwork to increase it.
That's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
Well, you said you could say anything you wanted.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Can't
right,
increase
but,
it.
right, I mean, we can increase it as long as we go through the proper procedures. But, yeah, we can, and we're probably the lowest. Like I say, the tax that we bring in doesn't even cover the garbage, what it costs us to have the garbage.
Well, what's the procedure to look at increasing it?
And we have to have.
We talked about this last
We
year.
have to hold public hearings, 2 public hearings, I think it's 7 days apart.
Yeah, I'll have to look back at it. I know I sent it out, I think, last year, and we might have been too close
Yeah, we
to.
We were too close to be able to get it
To
done.
be able to
in
do
the
it, but there's
Halloween.
advertising requirements and 2 public hearing requirements they come pretty close in order to each
I
other.
say it concerns me if we don't have enough to pay for, basic.
Well, I mean, just basically what we bring in from the taxes doesn't even.
The
cover
1%
it.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had, remember, I think it was
We had-
last year, year before, we had talked about, hey, let's continue setting it like this, but we really need to look at raising it. I'm just curious, like, for me as a citizen, what 2 versus 1 looks like. I mean,
It
can't-
doubled.
it doubles, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so mine is $17, or roughly something like that, so you're talking double that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right, and for our HOA as well, I got it wrong, our HOA is $17.
Yeah.
But that would increase it by double. Oh, okay, cool.
So last year, on August 7th or August 6th, we talked about increasing, and I think we were too
Yes,
close.
yes, that's
To
right.
the deadline, so I'd sent out the procedures, 3 public hearings. One has to occur on a weeknight, the other ones can occur during daytime, but one has to be on a weeknight. You could have it immediately before a council meeting. A week prior to the hearing, you have to have advertisement. So it's just a timing thing
Yeah.
of being able to get 3 hearings and the advertisement in time. We're earlier now, and
Yeah.
it's June.
I think we should really take a look at it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, we can't be not even making enough money for
No.
the garbage pickup.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's.
And I think it's gonna, we've got more citizens in the town. I
Yeah.
think this is gonna be very beneficial. That's my personal opinion. But I think we should look at that and see. Yep.
Well, we need to do that now as far as setting the millage.
And I'll resend the email that I sent last year that just has the,
Yeah, I've got it, I printed it out and put it in
it was
the
last
millage
August, if
thing,
it's
but it
still
was
there.
just,
I think we were too close last year.
When does it have to be, well, actually, a tax bill, or when does this have to be done?
they usually start asking for that paper from me in June. That's why I'm trying to get it passed now.
But I mean, we need to go ahead and set it tonight, or as far as advertising and stuff for the entrance, so that we have enough time before they send it out, because.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think you have enough time before that paper is due at the state. That sheet that I have to fill out stating what our millage rate is. There is a deadline for that.
It can't be, I mean,
I'll go back and look, but
So you're saying it may already be too late?
So the advertisement has to run 1 week prior to each hearing. So basically you have to be, and the hearings don't have to be spaced out in any particular way necessarily. I mean,
Can they overlap?
No, they have to be at separate times.
Okay, alright.
But the tax assessor office has to send us something, or the tax commissioner, one of the two, has to send us something before we can even do anything to fill that paper out. Because they're the ones that, because if say your value of your house goes up, and we're still at 1 mil, it's still a tax increase, and we do not roll it back, adjust it to
Yes, sir.
keep it at that, even if the values go up. So it's still a tax increase that way. So it's just not just, 1 mil. If your property
Yeah,
increase,
if the millage rate stays the same, but it results in a tax increase,
Yes.
you still have to do this advertising and hearing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, there you go.
yeah, so I mean, see, that's why,
Yeah,
and I swear I just,
we just got busy and that's why we're doing it now?
well, I don't know, I mean.
Well, it was all the turnover in the office.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if it was further delayed last year because of COVID stuff, because we were talking about it in August.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't even in the tax offices doing anything, so I
Okay.
just know that I kept getting other emails because they didn't have that form filled out, and I'm like, I'm doing the best I can do, but.
So the
yeah.
question is what do we want to raise the millage to?
You know basically what we get and what the costs are,
Well, I mean,
roughly?
I think it's like $4,000 something that we
Is-
get off the 1%.
That's what we get.
no, now, I guess, what are you asking?
Yeah, how much money comes in from,
Property tax?
the property tax right now?
Oh, about $4,000, ain't it?
Yeah,
$4,000.
$11,400.
And what'd you say the trash costs?
Well, I mean, for this out here, it's,
$230 a month.
yeah, and then plus the metal in, so, I mean,
So probably like really close to just.
so that's $27.60 for this down here, and then we pay
We pay $420 every quarter for the metal in.
so that's $16.80.
Minimum, it has to be 2,
Yeah.
maybe 3.
Well, and I mean, I know this don't benefit metal ends, but then we got the street lights too.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
So,
Still about 4 or 5.
y'all wanna them to run us out there. But,
So I mean, we're doubling it, makes sense?
well, at least. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah,
At least. But now, I mean.
I believe this year, at least looking at that for the next year or so.
But
at least at a minimum.
But I will tell you this, and this is my thing with the county or anybody. To me, if you see that you need more than the 1 mil increase, you do it one time, stir the hornet's nest one time and let it be. Because if you keep stirring it every year and asking, to me, now, that's just.
Well, I mean,
But-
for the hearings, the town can show some of our
Oh, yes,
overhead,
yes.
and it's justified. I'm not asking 10, and I'm taking extra money to go on a vacation, I'm
But-
paying the
Yeah,
garbage.
but all
they're not gonna wanna hear that.
Yeah.
But all I'm asking is if we raise it, we don't just come back next year and raise another bit. You see what I'm saying?
No, but I think at some point we have to look at it, if
Right.
our overhead increases, our cost, yes.
Well, I mean, it definitely is. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but I just don't think we need to turn around the next year and raise it again. That's all I'm
I
asking.
mean, are you anticipating that we would have to?
No, I'm just saying that, I'm just saying that if we're gonna do this, we need to do it one time and leave it alone for a while.
Well, that's what that's what we discussed last year. We said, hey, we really need to think about at least doubling it for 2021.
So is that so we set the millage rate at 5, roll it back to 3? Is that what we're doing?
So,
Paying
4,
it 5, roll it back to 2.
5 to 2.
Yeah.
We'll go 5 to 3.
You said it's 2 back, right? So it's
That's
4-2,
triplet.
it's 4-2.
No, no, okay, so,
I mean, you
4-2.
can roll it back as much as you want to.
Oh, I didn't understand the roll thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so.
And what you do have to advertise, the first line of the advertisement is the percentage increase. So if you double it, you're doing a 100% increase. That's gonna be the first line of the advertisement. So that's what everyone is going to see, that it's a this percent increase. And then it goes into the mills and rollbacks, which no one understands anything.
Yeah, I think 2%.
I
Or
have-
two on the millage.
I have one request. I want y'all to please take into consideration that if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna double it, triple it, whatever, I think you need to consider doing some type of senior discount, because we have several people who live in the area who are on low income, fixed income.
Yeah.
So it could be based on income, it could be based, you know, the county's is based on income. So I'm just saying,
but in all accounts though, I mean, most of the residents here, you know, I think mine is $67, but most of them is $20 or less, is that not right? So, I mean, even if.
well,
the
and I
income-
know that doesn't sound like a lot to you, but to somebody who only makes maybe $800 a month, that's a lot of money to them. That's what I'm saying. Base it on income. They would have to fill out a form. Yeah, I mean, you know, you say, oh, well, $50, you know, it's nothing to me. But I know a couple of residents in the area that would be a lot for them.
It's based on the value of your property?
Yeah.
Solely on that, okay,
Yeah.
all right. And have you ever seen, Laura, senior discounts? Or,
They probably exist. It's not something that I can think of that I've seen recently in one of the towns that I cover, but
is
we
there?
could look into the possibility of.
Pickens County, well, Pickens County, theirs is on school tax.
Yeah, so
But-
it's not, it's not.
But
it's
you
not-
I
can,
haven't seen it
but
on
you
millage
can
rate,
do
but
it.
I'm not gonna say it doesn't exist or it isn't possible.
Can you do it based on the value of your property? So if I'm paying my property's $1 million and my neighbor's is 100,000?
It is based on property.
Okay, it is just so, okay, all
You're
right.
talking about the exemption based on.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because we got a
saying.
lot of old people in the middle and
That's what I'm
that
saying,
you'd be missing a lot of money out on if you did, they're all old.
yeah.
That's why I say base it on income.
Well,
It's based solely on
Property, yes, okay.
If
So I'm
it's
paying
legal
more.
to base it on it.
So I'm hypothetically paying more than the person across the street.
I don't think you can base it on income. I think you could potentially have exemptions or waivers or something like that for certain people, but that's something that we have to look into.
So hypothetically, if you're over the age of 65, you pay 1 point,
You could maybe offer some exemption or waiver or something like that.
Well, I would even propose that if you know somebody in that situation and we double it, you let us know and I'll pay for it.
well, that's what the
Well,
hearings.
We don't,
I think-
you know, we
I
don't
think-
have, I don't think we have
The
to.
the hearings we establish, you know, and we show our expenditures anyway, but we shouldn't
See,
be
like
born in black.
the school tax is based on income, because if you make less than like $25,000 a year, you know, there's a discount on the school tax. Because I know that's been a big issue about raising that level up from 25 to maybe 35 or more.
I don't think Pickens County discounts age on their school tax.
They don't.
No, it's based on your income, that's why I was saying.
Yeah, because most counties discount it for age on their school.
Well, now, actually, yeah,
So what did we do? What's the rollback? Two?
last year we did 3, roll back 2.
Okay. So do I have a motion for a, millage rate of 4, roll back 2?
Yeah. I make a motion that we set a millage rate for 4 rollback 2.
And do all the advertising.
And conduct the 3 hearings for.
I think, All right, have a motion second, any other discussion?
I do have a discussion. So, at those hearings, eventually we're gonna vote, or we're allowing the hearings for the
Well-
town to discuss it and voice,
You'll have a final vote.
that's what I
after
meant,
the
okay,
hearings.
final vote.
So right now, you're
Proposed
proposing
stage.
increasing it
Yep.
and advertising
Got
increasing it and having hearings on increasing.
Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that.
If,
Yeah,
if we had
So you're not
missed the
actually
deadline.
approving it
Yes,
until this is happening.
we're approving
I
setting
will
the
call and
motion.
ask Commissioner Moore to see when that form has to be in. Because I know they have a deadline with the state, because until they turn it in, they can't get the digest.
And the hearings, they can't overlap each other, but, I mean, you can
They have
have
to
one
be
at noon
so
and one
far
at 6
apart.
one day. I think you can have, you could have 2 in a day at different times. But
Yeah,
at
you
least
said
one of
one
the
at
3
night.
has to start between the hours of 6 and 7.
Yeah, so we can do one,
You can-
within the next 3 weeks, or based on what Cheryl said on the time, if we're short for time, I recommend that we do it one before the town council, whenever that is.
You could have one immediately, you could have a 6:30
Yep.
hearing and a 7 o'clock meeting or
Got it.
something along those
Yes,
lines.
Well, when do you
Well-
want to have the other two?
Don't we have to confirm what our deadline is right now?
well,
And then
if,
Yeah, but
well,
I'm just saying, go ahead and give me the date, so if we're not past the deadline, then I can go
Then-
ahead and,
Then I would say the next town council, the hour or 30 minutes before the next town
right,
council.
but then
which
you gotta
is-
have 2 more.
Yes, ma'am. Do those 2 weeks before that town council, or whatever you decide, like Laura just said.
As long as you have time to get advertising out a week before.
Yeah, I would just do in the next 3 weeks, if hypothetically, the third week, or no, next week is the June, so it'd be second and third weeks of June, or second and, as you work, third week and fourth week of June, and then on the first Thursday of July, which is that July 1st? Okay, so that's July 1st, so the week of the 21st, the week of the 28th, and then the last one would be on our town council, which would be July 1st, right?
Alright, you said the 21st?
Yeah, I was just saying you're spacing it out
Okay,
each week, so the
days,
first
yeah.
hearing is the 21st, sometime in there.
Alright, then the first, it has to go in, the ad has to be in the paper by the 15th.
Okay. And the ad is gonna state the 3 dates in the hearings?
You have to
Right, Laura?
have an advertisement a week before
Each
hearing.
one.
Each hearing,
Oh, okay.
yes.
but now you can do the same advertising 3 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah, just change the date in it,
Okay.
and it can't be in the legal section.
No, you have to pay for an ad.
Okay, all right, so, yeah, so you gotta get it coordinated next week, and then coordinated on the 21st for the second meeting, and then coordinated the week of the 28th for the final hearing on the 1st of July.
So there has been ad the 15th, 22nd, and the 29th.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And we may want to confirm if they're required to, if
Yeah.
30 minutes would be
I'm-
sufficient, you may want to give an hour and do it at 6.
Yeah, I've got that in there in the form, I just don't remember what it says.
Okay, so we have a motion to,
A motion to raise the millage?
No,
Oh,
yeah, we
oh,
already voted
a
that.
motion to run the hearings?
yeah, 14th,
Yeah.
21st, 20.
Yeah,
No.
the week of the 21st, the week of the 28th, and then have the final hearing on the 1st of July prior to
Me.
the town council
Okay,
for the month of July.
second,
Alright,
second.
alright, now wait a minute, you're gonna run the ad on the 15th, so what day, it has to be a week before, so you couldn't have the first hearing until the 22nd, am I correct?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so 22nd.
And what time do you want that?
So how did you say that worked? You could have it during the day
You
and,
can have just, one of them has to start between 6 and 7, the others you could have one during the day.
and who has to participate in that?
Everybody,
Everybody?
well, it's not
I mean, if you were in the
necessarily-
office one day and as the
You'd
mayor,
probably want a quorum here,
quorum?
just so you have enough people hearing try to have a quorum here.
Okay, I can be here anytime during the week of that 21st. And then if I have prior notice, I can work around my schedule to be here anytime. So a quorum is.
Well, I mean, we would have to have it, we'd have to have it let's just say at, you said 26 and 7? Oh, you didn't, okay, I thought you did.
But
The
then,
notes don't have enough
but
time to
then
add.
one has to happen before that, doesn't it? Can they all be in the evening? Doesn't one of them have to be?
I believe only one, and I can confirm on all of this,
But all of them could be.
but I believe it's, the requirement is that one at least be scheduled. I have it up right now.
And what constitutes a quorum physically here?
All right, in order to increase the millage rate beyond the rollback rate, 3 public hearings are required, one of which must occur on a weeknight between 6 and 7 p.m. That's the only timing requirement. So it's just that one that you've got to make sure occurs at nighttime. They can all occur at nighttime.
Unless they're all in the 6 foot?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Or 6?
But what
All right, so you're
constitutes?
gonna have one at 6 o'clock.
Well, the one July the
1, 2,
first will
3,
be
4, 5, so we need 3 here. 2,
Yeah.
3 here.
Then have three.
3.
Okay, the 22nd and 29th, or 28th,
At 6
whatever day.
o'clock?
6 o'clock.
And I'm sorry, Laura, did you say it had to be a certain time length? If I'm sitting in here,
I don't believe, I don't see in the ordinance language I have right now.
I don't think it's specified.
Preliminary notice before the rate's decided. So there's another notice that, let's see.
And
Did you
then-
do a preliminary notice that the millage rate was gonna be discussed tonight? Okay. There may be a requirement for that. This is when I sent Nelson stuff on the millage rate back in 2015. So let me pull the code section tomorrow and make sure that's a current one, because that is another 2-week notice that's required. And I'll make sure that, again, this is from 2015 when I sent them stuff on the millage rate. I have the one that I sent y'all last year that had the advertising requirements and the 3 hearings. But let me confirm in the morning, I'll be able to look at it in the morning, your timeline on everything to make sure that we don't have to do a preliminary 2-week advertisement before having the hearings.
and another thing, Randy, you might want to consider, just for the month of July, since the 1st, and this is going to be a long weekend, you might want to consider pushing the town council meeting to the 8th. Just a recommendation, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And if that did, that built in some more time for us, for what Laura just stated.
And what I would maybe suggest, instead of voting to set the specific dates for the hearings tonight, would be to vote to give Cheryl authority to communicate with the council members to
Yeah.
set hearings
Yep.
on the proper timeline that's convenient for them.
That's fine, yeah. So can I do that?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we give Cheryl full authority to coordinate the hearings for the raise in the millage rate.
Okay, we have a second. All right, have a motion second. All, any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay.
You need a motion to move the council meeting to the next.
Oh, yeah. So the next,
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to move the town council for the month of July from Thursday, the 1st of July to Thursday, the 8th of July.
motion second, any discussion?
I may be out of town that week.
Uh,
I'm in the 5th. That whole week, I'm gone.
Is it still acceptable for it by phone, if you wanted to? I know at one time it was.
It was certainly during COVID. We can look at that and see if there's any reason that that would not be.
But you have 4 potential votes.
Right, I mean, I just wanna make sure that we have. make sure-
It sounds like you'd have a quorum.
If everybody will be. All right. Just wanna make- Okay, so we have a motion and a second to move the meeting next month to the 8th at 7 p.m. Any discussion? If not, all in favor? Okay, being no further business,
Make a motion to adjourn.
second? Second. All right, all in favor? Meeting adjourned.
I'm hungry.